So, coming into that bio risk, how does the evolution of technology sort of change the risk matrix going forward?
Biology can be a very powerful tool, and we can see how that biology, like we've seen with COVID, that a virus, a biological package, there's always this big debate over whether viruses are alive or not. That was why I was hesitating and how I was describing viruses. They but see, like, my training was, was that they were not alive. They're like symbionts. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We all know it doesn't matter if they're alive or not. Viruses can cause a tremendous amount of damage. And we've seen this over the last couple of years. With COVID, we're going to see a lot more of these emerging infectious diseases in the years, especially because of climate change and all kinds of terrible things that we're doing to our planet and environment. But this is these things don't just exist in nature. It is possible for people to manipulate these biological organisms. We have been very fortunate in our history that while there are nations that have poured a ton of money into biological weapons programs, we have not seen a whole lot of use of those programs. And so, for example, the Soviet Union and then Russia employed thousands of scientists to make weapons out of smallpox and anthrax, tularemia, and they were ready to use them, but thankfully they didn't.
The current American regulatory environment, what does it get right and wrong when it comes to fostering a strong bioeconomy?
We have this process of regulating the production of new, if you want to call them genetically modified or genetically engineered biotechnology products as they enter the market, right? We have the coordinated framework for the regulation of biotechnology. It was created in 1984, been updated a few times since then. But basically, it is a fairly convoluted process that is co-managed by the USDA, the FDA, and the EPA, which jointly regulate and approve new stuff. And I think, my opinion is that it's good. We should make sure that, when we sell products or when we try to um, plant crops that are engineered in some new fashion, that they're not going to poison the water supply or that they're not going to, spread like wildfire and become an invasive species. These are good things, and we should worry about those impacts. However, one of the problems with the way this coordinated framework is implemented is that it's extremely unclear about to whom individual companies ought to report new products because you have all kinds of newly fashioned, microbes that also produce chemicals that are used both for agriculture and for cooking. And so there are overlapping jurisdictions, number one. And number two, there's a lot of concern with the process by which a product is made rather than the impact that it will have on human health or on the environment. And so I think that a forward-looking approach would be process agnostic, right? We shouldn't really care how we arrive at the creation of a new product, whether that be through CRISPR or through some other gene editing process, right? What should matter is the impact that it will actually make.
Yeah, there was an attempt to overhaul the coordinated framework and make it a little bit more um to be more predictable to companies because it's a little simplistic to say like companies don't want any regulation. That's not true. They want to know what they're going to be facing, right? They want to know what kind of regulation is going to be affecting their products and they can prepare for it, and it is very confusing to know which of these agencies is going to be primarily regulating your product right now. There was an attempt to overhaul the coordinated framework at the end of the second Obama administration. And I think they thought that they were going to have a little more time for that process, and they didn't. And so they tried to wrap things up really quickly, and it didn't. It just left the job not completely done.